have the criticisms of Stephen A. been unfair? The answer is no. I think they've been completely fair, and I think a lot of them have been valid in terms of, as I was talking about, that different energy and trying to understand where that comes from.
So I recently came across this video with Don Lemon having a conversation with Jemele Hill, and they were talking about Stephen A. Smith, and this is in response to the National Association of Black Journalism giving him the Thumbs Down Award. I thought the conversation was pretty interesting and also pretty healthy, but did want to take a look at it and discuss.
So I'm going to try to attempt to do something that isn't always appreciated, and that is have a little nuance, okay?
Yes, I believe that there are a lot of nuances in life. I call myself Mr. A Nuanced State of Mind. I know that means sometimes I overthink things, but I would rather overthink than underthink. So I do think it's important to look at the nuances in every situation. So I do appreciate that.
Yeah. Now, has Stephen A. been, have the criticisms of Stephen A. been unfair? The answer is no. I think they've been completely fair, and I think a lot of them have been valid in terms of, as I was talking about, that different energy and trying to understand where that comes from. And I think politically, people definitely have a problem with how he's used his platform and who he has platformed on his platform, and, you know, kind of the circles that he seems to be ingratiating himself with. It leaves a little, you know, leaves one to raise the eyebrows and say, okay, what's really going on here? You know, you're flirting with running for president. We know that you're friends with some interesting people, to say the least. And I don't want to be getting into business of judging people by their friend groups, but I think people can see the dynamic of what's unfolding and saying, like, who is he trying to ingratiate himself to?
Like,
and
well,
so there's that component of it, which I think those are fair observations. And
I do judge people by their film.
Okay. All right.
Agreed.
I understand, you know.
Yeah. It says a lot about who you are.
All right. Y'all be looking at me crazy too.
All right. I 100% agree with that. You are who you hang around, right? You can't hang around someone that is doing something that goes against your morals and call them your friend and say like, oh, that's them, or whatever the case may be. Now, I'm not saying this is that extreme with Stephen A. Smith, but yeah, I do believe you are who you hang around. And you can't say like, oh, that's them, I don't agree with that part of their life, because if it is that extreme, people are going to look at you sideways as well.
I understand. It. So
yeah.
I get that. And I think those are fair criticisms and observations. But here's where it gets to me a little thorny. Yes, it is true that First Take, you mentioned this, they brought the show to NABJ. Part of that is because Stephen A. has exhibited an actual commitment to Black journalism. He's an HBCU graduate. He's taken the show on the road, as in First Take, to many HBCUs. And while he wasn't the first show at ESPN to do that, my show actually was. But when I had his and hers, we went to Howard's Homecoming and did a big show. But that's okay.
Let it be known then. Let it be known then, Jemele. I hear you.
He has done that. And knowing a little bit with how he operates his show, there are Black people that work on his show that he has actively, intentionally hired to bring Black folks at the producer level, at other levels in our industry, to bring them into the fold. There are a lot of Black people who can say, Stephen A. helped me with my career. That Stephen A., he elevated me in this way. When he had his show, quite frankly, on ESPN, it is true, he created a segment strictly for Black voices on his show, because there wasn't a lot of Black columnists. I was one of the Black columnists that appeared on his show. Me, Rob Parker, Gary Howard. It was very few of us.
Yeah.
Stephen A., it is true, gave us a platform to do those things. So while I do understand that,
one thing I've noticed is sometimes people can change. When you feel like you've had a lot of success, and make no mistake about it, this success is due to his hard work. But once you reach a certain level of success, you kind of forget what got you there, right? You get addicted to that winning and you want to keep winning. And sometimes you forget about those little things. So while I do believe this is true and he does have to get credit for that, sometimes you lose touch with that. You lose touch with what got you there in the first place, and you forget to kind of give back, or you forget the perception you're putting out there and how it represents yourself and others.
How he has done and moved and operated in certain ways has gone against the mission of NABJ. And that Thumbs Down Award, that is what it is supposed to address. I do think the body of work should matter. And Stephen A. does not have a lengthy track record I think, of going against the core and the root of what Black journalism is.
Once again, he may not have that lengthy track record, but it's safe to say that Stephen A. has had the most success he's ever achieved in recent time. So once again, achieving that level of success, I don't know, you may lose touch with the people that supported you, the people that got you there, that helped get you there. Of course, your hard work got you there, but the people that supported you on your way to the top. So once again, yes, body of work matters. You reach that level of success, you forget about the regular people, the people on the ground level.
And while I don't like a lot of the things that he has said, I also cannot absolve or cannot erase the contributions he's made, both as a Black journalist himself and also as somebody who has tried in many instances to use his position to help other Black journalists.
Two things can be true. Two things can be true.
Fair. And nuance, which people don't like in this day and age.
Nuances are important.
Like the Black journalists were calling him, the sellout, or the Uncle Tom or the coon, right? No, they weren't doing that.
Some people do. Like that's
some people do. But I'm saying NABJ was not doing
no,
that.
NABJ
Basically,
did
they
not
were
do
saying
that.
what he's doing on the air
and
is,
don't call
is
people out of their
not good
names
or detrimental to
like,
Black people and Black
don't
journalists.
do that.
That's their opinion. They can do it. They're an organization. They are Black journalists. Okay, a Black journalist organization. However, he thinks what he's doing for the Black community is, you're more in line. You're saying basically what he has said before about the Black community. But I think sometimes people can be too close to it and they can't see the forest for the trees. I have been there. I'm sure you have been there. And sometimes it takes a person who is your friend, or maybe not so much your friend, to say, hey, look, what are you doing? Can you see yourself? I've had those moments with Spike.
Yeah, it's important.
I've had those moments with Spike will say, hey man, look, let me see. I've had those moments with DL. DL and I are dear friends now. We toured together, right? We didn't always see eye to eye, but sometimes you got to let your ego go and go, okay,
agreed.
What am I not seeing? And perhaps I am too close to the corporation.
I completely agree with that. Sometimes, hopefully, if you are a introspective person, you will take that step back and say, hey, okay, let me at least be open to receiving this. Of course, no one responds well to being called out of their name or being verbally attacked. But if you are getting some criticism by multiple people, it won't hurt to just take a step back and say, okay, maybe I need to check myself a little bit. Let me slow down and reassess myself. And I do think if you have good friends in your life, your friends will do that as well. But even if you don't have good friends that'll check you in life, because once again, when you reach the level of success that Stephen A. Smith you have a lot of yes people around you. So most people will not check you because you are a lot of times the breadwinner. You are that unlimited resource in some ways. So I think it's healthy to every so often take a step back and reassess yourself and not get too offended when people do come out and criticize you. If a lot of people are saying it, it may have some validity to it.
I do.
You know what I mean? Because if you're a journalist, pretty much you should not be so aligned to the corporation. That is not your job. Your job is to disseminate factual information. Your job is to be a good communicator. Your job is to inform and enlighten. And in many ways, if you're a Black journalist, your job is to offer opportunities to other Black journalists if you're in a position like Stephen A. Smith, and also to be able to bring those conversations to the fore, to be able to bring the nuance to the fore without sounding like you are, hey man, you know what I'm saying? It's like, that's my thing.
Oh, well, that was
right.
an I impersonation. I ain't gonna lie. All right, before he continues, he mentioned getting closer to the corporation. One of the things I've mentioned a couple of times with Stephen A. Smith, he was defending Malika Andrews, I remember, and it was her bringing up something about, I believe it was an NBA player's past or whatever the case may be, and he stated if she don't ask that, the bosses are going to question her and be like, hey, what's up? Why you didn't bring that up. And my thing is that can only be an excuse for so long. If I work for a corporation that was intentionally trying to reduce the funding of education or after school programming, I can't sit up there and say, well, that's what the bosses want. And if I don't, they're going to be asking questions. After a while, if I continue to stay with that organization, I'm, if not in agreement with it, I'm at least okay with it, and I'm just standing aside. I don't care about it that much. So I don't like when Stephen A. used that excuse for himself and Malika Andrews, because if you are working for a company like that for that long, after a while, it's like, okay, you've been here for what, 15 plus years? Come on, man.
Because he says, oh, black people love me, blah, blah, blah. But if you heard some of the responses from there, it's like, maybe he doesn't see it. Roll it.
Black people don't like me. I'm from Hollis, Queens, bro. I'm from the streets of New York City. I go to the streets of America everywhere, all over this country. I'm inside and outside arenas. I'm inside and outside local businesses and stuff like that. I'm the ambassador for HBCU Week in concert with Ashley Christopher.
To be fair, you can't please everyone. I get that.
Of $150 million for Black students. I'm a member of Omega Psi Phi fraternity. I ain't just down with a fraternity. That's a brotherhood. All of them are my boys. I was raised by 5 Black women, Joy. I have nieces. I have 2 daughters. Everybody Black. I still go home to Hollis. On the business side, ESPN takes our show, First Take, to HBCUs, Black gymnasiums, wherever we go. Black people don't like me.
Now, all of those things may be true, and he deserves his flowers for that. But it's not necessarily an excuse for having bad takes on people and for what journalists are trying to get him to understand. Maybe he's not seeing something, and he thinks by doing all of those things that he can also pile on Black people and talk shit about them, and there will be no accountability.
Yeah, and Don, I think what you brought up is fair, and not just fair, but justified. And I know personally of Black journalists, senior Black journalists, who have tried to have these conversations with Stephen A. behind closed doors, and because they've told me about it, and I think this is what I want Stephen A. to do from what happened at NABJ. I want him to self-reflect and evaluate. But I know that's not what he's going to do. And this is where I am concerned for NABJ.
To be fair, when you are quote unquote him, as some people would say, a lot of people would say Stephen A. is him in his respective field. In a sense, you don't feel like you need to. I was literally just looking at a video regarding my favorite NBA player, the late great Kobe Bryant, and he was talking about how him and Shaq clashed and he wanted him to work. And to be honest, if Shaq is dominating, winning finals MVP in 3 straight championships, it's kind of like a work for what? They already can't stop me. I said I'd agree with it, but I can see how someone could have that perspective.
Stephen A. has a very big platform. He has a very big microphone. And what he's going to do, and he's already alluded to this with his tweet saying Christmas came early. It's like he's reveling. He's going to revel in trying to tear down this organization. Hands. That's exactly what he's going to do, is that he is going to air NABJ fully out and realize that there's a good bit of the country that does not understand the value, the meaning, and the institution that is NABJ. It is the largest Black journalist organization in the country, over 3,000 members. I've been a member of it since I was 16 years old. This organization has meant everything to me.
That's what I hate, because no one should be above having a conversation. Even if it hurts, I really do wish that Stephen A. can sit down and have a conversation. It's like, hey, why do you feel that way? Okay, well, let me give you my perspective. But once again, he may be thinking like, hey, I don't have to. You know what I mean?
Totally is responsible for me having the career that I had, going to NABJ, seeing other Black journalists, seeing journalists like Stephen A. Smith in their positions come back to NABJ and come back to the convention, talk to younger journalists, give us some game, going to developmental workshops, being able to go to the job fair. This is an amazing organization. And at a time where Black journalism is under attack, I think the way that he responds to this is not going to be helpful, and it's not going to be constructive, and it's not going to get him to the place that you want him to get to, Don, and that is to respond in a way,
this is the
or at least think about
of Christmas arriving early.
Disconnect. Like, of course, when you go to HBCU campuses, they love you because they're students and they see this Black man who is the face of ESPN, who has got $100 million contract and is television. Yes, they love you.
Yeah, I
But
mean, they're
if
going to
your
love you. Yeah,
peers
you're
are
famous.
telling
You
you
are him.
there is something wrong, or there's something you should be paying attention to, maybe you should listen to them and have some conversations, not only with yourself, but with these same people, and say, like, okay, guys, what is it? Where am I getting this wrong? Or what's the disconnect? And I don't know that if he's introspective enough to frankly do that.
It's unfortunate. I really do hate that. And me trying to understand people, I've been studying The Laws of Human Nature by Robert Greene. Shout out to Robert Greene, a phenomenal author. But when I think about Stephen A. Smith, I think about chapter 11 of The Laws of Human Nature, Know Your Limits. It's the law of grandiosity. And it reads, we humans have a deep need to think highly of ourselves. If that opinion of our goodness, greatness, and brilliance diverges enough from reality, we become grandiose. We imagine our superiority, often a small measure of success. Now, I'm going to stop right there because Stephen A's success definitely isn't small. But often a small measure of success will elevate our natural grandiosity to even more dangerous levels. Our high self-opinion has now been confirmed by events. We forget the role that luck may have played in the success or the contributions of others. We imagine we have the golden touch, losing contact with reality. We make irrational decisions. That is why our success often does not last. They say pride often comes before the fall. I'm not going to say this is the case with Stephen A. Smith. I hope not. But look for the signs of elevated grandiosity in yourself and in others, overbearing certainty and the positive outcome of your plans, excessive touchiness, if criticized. I'm going to say that again, excessive touchiness if criticized, a disdain for any form of authority, counteract the pull of grandiosity by maintaining a realistic assessment of yourself and your limits. Reminds me of Dark Knight. Know your limits, Master Wayne. Tie any feelings of greatness to your work, your achievements, and your contributions to society. I hope Stephen A. Smith is introspective enough to really take a step back and think, okay, hey, maybe I can look in the mirror a little bit and maybe make some adjustments. Just adjust a little bit and be open to hearing people, not be offensive. So that's all I'm going to say. I really do wish the best for Stephen A. Smith. Regardless of what you think about him, he is a very talented and entertaining personality. He's the top of ESPN right now. You cannot deny his hard work has got him there. But once again, I do hope that he can take a step back and do some self-reflecting and think about what he can do better. And shout out to Jemele Hill and Don Lemon as well. Great conversation. Spare no effort. If you like what you just heard, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, SNE 2.0. SNE stands for Spare No Effort. All we're trying to do is help people become the best version of themselves. So please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and remember, spare no effort.